Alright. Okay, welcome to 999. Um, yeah, we're gonna fucking play this game again today and see, how many more endings we can get. Basically, we'll be picking up right where we left off yesterday. Just gonna take a couple drinks of me water and we'll just get started. Alright, let's go. Fucking Goddess Gamer up in this bitch. I am not wearing a shirt that I was not wearing a shirt I wanted to. Hold on. I like this one. No, I don't. I like this one. Alright, fucking 999. We're gonna fucking get as many endings as possible. I stuck my fucking hand through the head hole, not the shirt hole. My headphones are still on while I put a shirt on. And I am feeling Velvet Sugar for smells. Because I have a bunch of Bath and Body Works perfumes. Woo! Fuck. 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 Oh. Okay. Did a little fuckies with me models. I'm drinking an alcohol that says Jamaican me happy. I'm not happy. So yeah, let's fucking do this. Okay, let's go. Alright. The hallway that left the cargo room headed straight towards the stern. A long hallway, huh? Let's check it out. Junpei and the other three people proceeded down it silently. Some distance along it, a large room opened up on the left-hand side. It looked familiar. An iron gate covered each of the elevators. Junpei and his companions drew to a stop and began to discuss what their next move would be. We've seen this elevator before. We got off on the left just a little while ago. And then we went through the number 6 door that took us to the engine room. Yes, and after that, we passed through the cargo room. And now we're back here? In other words, we made a loop. We're back where we started. Junpei approached the elevator. We needed a card to get to this point. I don't see a card reader here. Perhaps we aren't able to activate it from this location. Why don't you try pushing the button? Yeah. Gently, he pushed the triangular button on the wall. A moment passed. It works? The elevator door opened and then eventually shut again. I think so. Pushing the button had apparently restored power to the elevator. Good, now we can go back if we need to. What do we do? Should we return to C deck? No, this hallway keeps going. Even if we do end up going back, I think we should see what's down here first. I agree. Let's go. The decision made, Junpei and his companions left the elevators behind and continued down the hallway. Sometime later, looks like it ends here. Santa, who had been walking several paces in front of the rest, suddenly stopped. Only one door. They searched around just in case. There isn't anything else. It's the only way to go. It was the door or nothing. Alright, let's open it. Junpei took a deep breath, readied himself, then grabbed the doorknob and pulled the door open. My cat is like having a field day in the closet right now. She's got some major fucking zoomies. Isn't that right, baby? Isn't that right, baby Momo? Is that baby Momo? Yeah, baby girl. Yeah, yeah. Mama loves you. Mama loves you. Mama loves you, little baby Momo. Mwah. No baby. Oh, baby girl. No baby Momo. Alright. He paused for a moment, then stepped through into the room. And there he saw the number that had hung over their heads since they'd woken up. 9. The 9 door. Like the numbers on every other door, this one too was a rough shape made of paint. Its door was set into the back wall of the room. Junpei leapt towards it with a sudden burst of hopeful energy. It was a large double door, heavy and full of solemn importance. He grabbed the door handle and shook. Of course it wouldn't be that easy. The red sat on the wall next to the door, displayed on it. Huh. We finally found it. Junpei felt himself overwhelmed by a torrent of emotion. And he knew all too well. As he stood frozen, unsure of what to think or feel. Jumpy! Huh? Look behind you! He spun around. And couldn't believe what he saw. What? A 9 door? There's another one? Why? Junpei's voice was barely audible, even to himself. He stumbled towards the second door as if somehow compelled. It was a small single door. It sat in the starboard corner of the room on the same wall as the door they'd entered from, but in the opposite corner. It's 9 no matter how you look at it. The red is there too, so this is a real one? Junpei shook the door handle pointlessly and muttered to himself. Why the hell are there 2 doors? It was Santa who answered. There were always 2 doors. I mean, if you think about it, Zero never actually said there was only one door with a 9 on it. It's hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9. Of course, we just assumed that there was only one. After all, why would there be more than one? Oh man. Jeez. We fell for it. There are 2 doors. That means that all 9 people who had met at the central staircase could escape. No one would be left behind. Now it makes sense why the bracelets are numbers 1 through 9. Divided into teams of 4 and 5 people, the digital roots of both teams end up being 9. Take 1, 2, 7, 8, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 for example. The digital root for both teams would be 9. Or 2, 3, 4, 9, and 1, 5, 6, 7, 8. The digital root is still 9. There are a bunch of combinations that work and they all end up the same way. If one team has a digital root of 9, so would the other. What does that mean? The answer's simple. From the very beginning, the Nonary game was designed to save all 9 people. That's how it was meant to be. Zero didn't lie. He never said there'd be only one door. But anyone who'd found themselves in the game would have assumed that was the case. Fights would have broken out. One team would likely betray or deceive the other. Someone might be hurt. Someone might get killed. But eventually, they'd reach this very same room and realize how pointless all of their infighting was. There were 2 doors. There was no need to kill each other. They'd understand and be appalled, overwhelmed with guilt at what they'd done. This game was designed for that purpose. This Nonary game, we were all arguing and fighting over doors at the beginning, but if there'd been one slip-up, one tiny mistake that led to more, everything could have been so much worse now. The thought of it sent a chill down his spine. So, what were we going to do, Junpei? A voice broke through Junpei's frantic thoughts. Santa's voice. Huh? Oh, right. Hey, keep it together, man. Sorry. Geez, so what do we do? We need to think about our next step. Our numbers are 1356. That's a digital root of 6. The 4 of us can't open the 9 door. The 4... Wait, don't tell me. Yep, there's one combination that'll let 3 of us open up the 9 door. That's why I'm asking. What now? What now? It took him no time at all to determine the answer. There was only one combination of 3 people that would give a digital root of 9. 1 plus 3 plus 5 equals 9. That would mean... No, we gotta go back. That wasn't a possibility he was willing to consider. Santa and Ace agreed. Yep. I agree. We cannot leave June behind. Junpei let out a breath that he hadn't realized he'd been holding. Are you sure? I don't mind staying. June's body betrayed her true feelings. Her eyes were wet with the beginnings of tears and her legs shook. It's okay. There's no way we'd leave you behind. Santa had said what Junpei had known the moment he realized which 3 people could go through the door. Besides, I'd rather drown at the bottom of the ocean than escape with the Sausage Fest. Maybe I'll get to go to Atlanta. Are you sure you don't mean Atlantis? Oh, right. Perhaps it was the sudden reassurance that no one wanted to leave June behind, but Junpei laughed harder than he had in some time. Santa and Ace smiled. You guys. June blinked tears from her eyes and bit her lip, but she didn't seem to know what else to say. Very well. Best we head back to C deck, then. We should be able to take the elevator we passed earlier. Perhaps Clover 7 and Lotus will have returned from door 1. Even as Ace spoke, they knew finding the others wouldn't improve the situation. Excuse me. But even with all 7 of us, Ace knew it. They all knew it. Standing around here isn't going to accomplish anything, don't you agree? Let's find the other 3 first, and then search for another solution. I guess you're right. Alright, let's go. Ace looked at all 3 of them, then turned and headed through the door. Yeah. Okay. Santa and June followed. Junpei started towards the door, then stopped. Come to think of it. What is this room? It didn't seem terribly important now, but what exactly was it? We were so focused on the doors, we didn't even look around. A red carpet ran between 2 columns of wooden benches that ran the length of the room. It looks like it's set up for some kind of ceremony. But what kind? Facing the 9 door was the carpet leading to the bow of the ship, and at that end... Was it an altar, perhaps? There was a small rectangular alcove at the end of the carpet, and inside the alcove was a raised platform. Resting on top of the platform was a coffin. A coffin? What on earth is a coffin doing in a place like this? But before Junpei had time to answer that question... Hey Junpei, the hell are you doing? Let's move. Santa's voice echoed in from the hall outside. Right, okay, I'll be right there. Junpei turned on his heel and left the quiet, somber room. The ominous banging. They took the elevator to C deck. Once there, they headed back towards the main hall and the central staircase. It didn't take them long. Look, it's... Seven and Lotus. They didn't look happy. We've got a problem. Clover is gone. What? Junpei and his three companions looked at one another. He turned back to Seven and Lotus. What do you mean, gone? Santa, Ace, and June had their own questions to ask. When? Why? You two went into door 1 with Clover, didn't you? Seven and Lotus responded as best they could. Yeah, we went through the door together. But Clover barely spoke to us. She just did her own thing the whole time. There were 4 rooms on the other side of door 1. She wouldn't let us into the 4th room. She just said, I'll take care of this one. And shut the door. She must have blocked it with something on the other side. We waited for a while, but Clover didn't come out. We called for her, but she didn't answer. So I kicked down the door and we went into the room. But it was empty. Clover wasn't there. There was a door in the other wall, and it was open. We figured she opened the door and left by herself. We ran after her, of course, but... Well, obviously we didn't find her. You figured that much out. Clover's gone. Junpei thought for a moment. When did this happen? We got here just before you. You certainly have excellent timing. So you haven't searched anywhere other than near the staircase? No, we haven't. Finally, Ace spoke. His voice had an edge of resolve and concern. Very well then. We best separate and look for Clover. We haven't much time left. Let's begin. Yeah. There were quick nods all around and the 6 remaining players spread out. Junpei and June ran into the central hospital room and looked around. She's not here. No, she isn't. They searched a little longer, but with no luck. They couldn't find Clover. There's no sign of her. Let's go. Finally, they gave up and left the central hospital room. Slowly, they made their way back to the hallway. At last, they reached the stairs and Junpei spoke. Alright, I'm thinking we should probably split up. I'll head back to the stairs and take the elevator down to E deck. June, you can take the stairs up to B deck. Alright, that sounds good. But, What? Could you stop calling me by that code name when we're alone? Huh? Oh, sure, right. I'll do that. There was a reason Junpei persisted in calling her June even when they were alone. Although perhaps not the best reason. He was embarrassed to call her by the nickname he'd used when they were children. Connie. 9 years ago, it came naturally after all, they were children. But now that they were adults, it felt strange. Regardless of what he might hope for, to call a woman he wasn't dating by such a childish nickname felt odd to him. Of course, to call her Miss Kurashiki would be even more awkward, and simply Kurashiki would seem a little brusque. And although he couldn't put his finger on why, it felt somewhat forward to call her Akane, when they hadn't seen one another for so long. In short, it was simply easier for him to call her June, and leave it at that. Jumpy? Oh, no, it's nothing. Alright, I'm going then. Yeah, be careful, Connie. June, or perhaps more appropriately, Connie, blushed and smiled. You be careful too, Jumpy. Yeah, got it. Take care. Junpei looked after her for a moment as she ran up the stairs, then turned around and took off for the hallway. Tragedy always strikes when one least expects it. But to wait for a man to stand before striking him down seems almost crueler than dealing the fatal blow while he lies on the ground. A light in a dark place, June's smile had given him hope, both for escape and possibly for something else. It was hope that raised his spirits, but just enough that they might soon be fully dashed. He opened the elevator door, and there she was. A woman sat slouched against the wall, Lotus. Junpei felt his blood turn to ice. Her body was limp, and her skin smooth and pale as always. Was covered in bright red blood. Junpei felt his chest constrict. He couldn't breathe, and his legs began to shake. A slow, cold drop of sweat trickled down his back. He felt his stomach somersault. Junpei's mind went blank, all his thoughts replaced with endless hissing white. Driven by little more than instinct, he began to walk towards Lotus slowly. Each slow movement of his stiff limbs brought him closer to her corpse. Finally, he stood next to her. Robotically, he bent down and put his hand against her neck. There was no pulse. No rise and fall of breathing. She was slightly warm. Something somewhere in Junpei's shaken mind told him that meant she had been killed recently. Yes, Junpei thought, his mind slowly returning. She had been killed. Someone had killed her. There was a deep cut on the left side of her chest. Blood still oozed from it, although clearly her heart had stopped beating some time ago. The weapon had been a knife then? Perhaps she had been stabbed in the heart once. She would have died immediately. He took little comfort from knowing she must have suffered very little. Only then did Junpei notice. Lotus's bracelet was gone. Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only two ways to do so. One, you escape from the ship. Two, your heart rate reaches 0. In other words, the bracelet is taken outside the confines of the ship or detects that its wearer's heartbeat has fallen to 0. It will shut down automatically. Was that why the killer had ended Lotus's life? So that they might have the number 8 bracelet? If that was true, then the killer was whoever wanted the number 8 bracelet, or perhaps more accurately, the person who would gain the most by obtaining bracelet number 8. Who is that? Who would benefit from the number 8 bracelet? The thought had only entered Junpei's mind when he heard a noise. A sound like a sharp knife cutting through wet meat. It struck him as strange that the noise came from inside his own body. A moment later, the pain hit him. It wasn't merely pain, there was heat. Extreme heat as well. He felt as though molten iron had been splashed against the side of his body. Finally, his brain made the connection. He had been stabbed, but where? His body was quickly going numb. He couldn't tell where the knife had met his flesh. Given the circumstances, however, he had most likely been stabbed in the back. Whoever had killed Lotus had now done the same to Junpei. His voice was a little more than a weak groan. With what little strength he had left, Junpei turned his body, trying to catch a glimpse of his attacker. But as he did, the knife dug itself in deeper, twisting viciously. He collapsed to the floor, a puppet with its strings out. His arms and legs lay where they fell, oddly twisted and awkwardly positioned. Junpei's body was entirely numb. He could feel the blood leaking out of him, but nothing would move. Nothing save his eyes. As he lay on the floor, his life ebbing away, Junpei finally saw his attacker. 2 tiny images of the killer reflected in his eyes. With that recognition came nothing. He felt no emotions, not anger, not sadness, not regret. The paralysis that had claimed his body had reached his mind. His killer glared down in his body. Then, without a word, climbed into the elevator and was gone. His eyesight began to fade, the world grew blurry, and began to dissolve into an empty, white fog. The fog crept into the edges of his mind and worked inexorably inward. Soon it swallowed up the last that remained of Junpei's mind, and his consciousness left him. There was nothing more. Into utter emptiness he fell. Into zero. Whatever Junpei had been was gone. Bad ends. Alright, we got another bad ending. Let's go. First 20 minutes of the stream. Oh, first half hour, rather. So there's still 2 more endings. So there was something that we didn't unlock. Oh, wait. Which route was I supposed to go down then? That's the laboratory. This is the operating room. It says there's something here that It's a key. I wonder... Oh, okay. So it's telling me that... So I have to go through the 5 door. It's 5 and then... Laboratory. And then... Finally here. Okay. Alright. Then let's do just that. Let's go back. I think it's definitely choosing the 5 door. I'm not exactly sure, but it had to be 5. I gotta finish this cutscene first. Alright, now I'm on this branch. Let's go. I think so. It's. Yeah, the 8 door. So I have to choose 8 door. At least I'm pretty sure it's gonna be 8 door. I'll have to fucking fuck around until I see those keys unlock. Because I think I have to go to with Lotus. Alright, alright. Is this unlocked yet? I don't actually know how to unlock that. It's all red, and I've got to figure it out, I guess. It's still red. I already found my way out of here. I'll do it again. I'm not gonna do it again. I'm just gonna fuck around until I'm just gonna go with the flow. I don't have that unlocked, but there's something on this path that, like, is clearly needs to be unlocked. So was it not going down 5? What happens in 4 and 5 doors? Because this is clearly the key to finding out how to unlock the key here that then lets me unlock these. I guess I'll go to the computer and see what happens. Wait. It's not letting me skip. Maybe this is it. I'm unemployed at the moment. I used to work at a cybersecurity firm, but I quit. Why? Oh, it was just something. I see. What are you doing now? I'm going to try and brute force it. Brute what? A brute force attack is, well... The short version is, I just attack the thing head on. The long version, a brute force attack is one of the simplest ways to break a cipher. It checks every possible combination until it finds the right one. For a complex cipher, it can take a very long time. I'm writing a program that would run an attack like that on its own. It's not the most elegant solution, certainly, but given the circumstances, there isn't much else I can do. Oh, but back to what we were talking about earlier. What were we talking about? The wireless display? It's kind of strange if you think about it, isn't it? How do I put it? Well, let's say you write a program that calculates an addition problem for you, alright? So you enter 1 plus 1. The screen will show you 2. See, isn't that strange? No, not really. Oh, come on now. Of course a caveman like you would think it was strange. You just said so a minute ago. Huh? You're not getting it, are you? Who calculated 1 plus 1? The, main computer. You said it's connected to the monitor wirelessly. Yeah, but someone who grew up in a cave wouldn't know that, right? They'd probably think that this thing here, the monitor, is doing the calculating. And once they've decided that, they'll start examining this monitor. They might poke the screen or something. Ah, I see, the color changes when I press it here. Then they might investigate the hardware on the inside. Oh, I see, this wire supplies power. Eventually, they might have even cut the wires. Yes, just as I expected. When this wire is cut, no results appear. Therefore, it must be this device which does the calculations. But the truth is, just like you said, the computer is doing the calculating. But these cave people wouldn't know that, because they have no idea that the monitor and computer are connected wirelessly. So, what are you trying to say? Nothing really. It's just I thought maybe... What if the relationship between humans and beings in our brain is like that? Huh? Well, let's say you stick a bunch of electrodes into parts of the brain. A scientist examining the signals they send out might say, interesting, so stimulating, this part of the brain causes this person to see colors. That must mean this neuron cluster controls that function. Okay, let's see what happens when I cut out this part. Ah, just what I thought. Cutting off this part causes that function to cease. Therefore, human thought processes must occur in the human brain. See, doesn't it sound the same? Maybe the brain is just an output device like this monitor. Maybe our thought processes actually occur somewhere else, in a main body. We just don't know it. We never even think about it. Just like those cave people wouldn't know about wireless communications. We can't imagine that there's some unknown medium that transfers information into our brains where we experience that information as thoughts. The brain is just an output device. Human thought actually occurs somewhere else? Huh, that's just crazy talk. Did Lotus really think that, he wondered? It was a little creepy, Junpei thought. It sounded altogether too much like a bizarre, cultish religion. Maybe that's the cause of Seven's amnesia. Oblivious to Junpei's increasing discomfort, Lotus continued. If memory is actually stored somewhere else, in some sort of main body, somewhere, maybe he hasn't forgotten anything at all. Maybe he's just having a difficult time accessing his memories because this monitor, his brain, has been damaged. I would suppose that would explain aphasia and blindsight too. Perhaps they can actually speak or see. The monitor just isn't functioning properly. I guess people with prosopagnosia could be suffering from the same thing. Wait a minute. What? He knew what aphasia was from watching medical dramas on TV, and blindsight was easy enough to guess, but he'd never heard the word prosopagnosia before. What? You've never heard of prosopagnosia? Lotus spun around in her chair to look at him. Junpei just shrugged and shook his head. No, what is it? Well, put simply, it means a condition where the mind can't distinguish between human faces. In other words, my face would look the same as Clover's or even yours. So they can't remember faces, which is how most people recognize each other. That means that people with prosopagnosia have trouble even recognizing people they're close to. Usually they can make do by associating people with other things, their voices, their clothes, their hair. Does that mean other people's faces look like blanks? No, I don't think so. You've seen monkeys like in a zoo, right? To you and me, all the monkey faces look the same. Even though they've obviously got faces, it's almost impossible for a human to distinguish between them. The zoo staff that works with them would learn to identify different monkeys eventually. But you or I couldn't, unless one had a scar or something to set it apart. That's how people would be able to be to someone with prosopagnosia. Prosopagnosia, huh? I didn't even know that kind of thing existed. Junpei did his best to act as though the entire lecture hadn't gone entirely over his head. And, what were we talking about? The idea that your brain is just an output device, like a monitor. Are you serious about that stuff? Not really. I was just kidding for about half of it. What about the other half? Well, I guess I was just adulting. Not funny. Lotus's smile had something rather masochistic to it. It's nothing more than a story I made up out of boredom. Don't take it seriously. It was the first thing that came to mind, and I just talked so I could kill time. But it looks like I don't need to talk anymore. Why? I don't have time to kill any longer. As she spoke, Lotus raised her arm high and brought it down on the enter key. Then you finished that brute whatever thing? I certainly did. And let's see what we got. Chunks of text flickered on and off in quick succession, and then a line of numbers appeared, blinked, and disappeared. The screen cleared, and all that was left in the word was accepted. Piece of cake. Lotus would have clearly patted herself on the back if it would not made her look entirely ridiculous. After a few seconds, the accepted disappeared to be replaced with 9 squares arranged in a 3x3 square. The square changed again. What the hell is this? No idea, it looks like a puzzle. Suddenly Lotus stood up. Huh? Aren't you gonna, I don't know, do more computer stuff? I can't do any more. It won't let me do any more programming. See the keyboard? Nothing. So there's nothing more I can do. Well, I guess I'll leave this to you then, Junpei. What? Let me take a break, alright? I did my part. Ah, well, he wasn't sure what to say. Okay, now we can skip. To the locker now. Skip ahead to whenever it stops letting us skip. I wanted to ask you something. Junpei, you went into door 5 with my brother, right? Did you hear him say, like, anything weird? Huh? Why is she asking me this? Junpei wondered. The more he thought about it, the more it made sense. Snake had been gone for a long time. Clover was quite attached to her brother. Of course, she would have been worried about him. Well, let me think. He thought back to when he'd gone through door 5, hoping he might remember something, even a small something that would help her. However, sorry, Clover, I can't really think of anything. I mean, he did mention that his hearing exceeds that of a regular person or something like that, but that's about it. Okay. Clover's words were barely audible. She nodded vaguely to Junpei and turned to walk away. Hey, wait a minute. Look, I don't know if I should ask you things, but if you don't mind, I was hoping you could tell me if Snake, I mean, was he born? You're talking about his eyes? Yeah. No, he wasn't born blind. When he was a kid, he got in an accident, a really bad car accident. He couldn't see after that. And his arm. His arm? Yeah. My brother's left arm is, it's not like a normal person's arm. It's fake. It's not a real arm. The accident hurt him really bad. To save him, they had to cut off his arm. Is that all you wanted to ask me? Talking about her brother had clearly taken a great deal out of Clover. Junpei nodded. Look, I'm sorry for making you talk about all that painful stuff. It's not that. Clover only shook her head and walked down off the stairs. Alright, we've got that taken care of. Okay, so we've got that unlocked. So... there's something here. I'm guessing handle? Yeah. June's down over there. She doesn't seem to be improving. Well, of course not. She's not gonna just get better, right? Okay, let's just skip. You know, speaking of experiments, there was this experiment some scientists did with rats. First, they took a C-shaped tank and filled it with enough water that rats could drown in it. The tank has 2 exits. Just to make it easy, we'll call one A and the other B. Exit A is pitch black, so dark, even a rat can't see anything. Exit B is electrified, which means the rat can't leave through it. So what would a rat do if it was put into this situation? Which exit would the rat choose? B, of course. The rat has no way of knowing that exit B is electrified. Exactly, the rat goes to exit B. Of course, like I said, it's electrified, which means that the rat can't get out that way. So after a lot of trial and error, the rat finally finds exit A. I can't say that's very interesting or relevant. It's simply the story of a laboratory experiment. You're right, it isn't very interesting yet. See these scientists repeated these experiments over and over, using hundreds of different rats over several generations. This produced some surprising results. With each generation, the rats took less time to find the correct exit. Eventually, a rat was put in the tank who instantly chose exit A without even attempting to go to exit B. But that wasn't the most impressive part. The same experiment was conducted in another laboratory far from the original one, with the same results. No one's second thought, the results weren't really the same. The rats in the second experiment began the trials with significantly faster times than the first rats in the initial one. These rats weren't related to each other and had never even come into contact with them, and yet they all easily found their way to the exit A as though they already knew. What did it mean? Are you suggesting something like telepathy? They were passing information to one another through some undetectable medium? How the hell would I know? I'm not any kind of scientist. I don't know what's made them do that. But I do know that story's true, and if you've got another explanation, I'd love to hear it. Come on, let's get going. There's still a lot here we haven't checked out. And we gotta get the hell out of here before June passes out. Hey, wait, there's something I want to ask you. What? Why did they use that tank for the experiment? Huh? Well, I mean, it seems like you could conduct the same experiment without the water. They could have just used a dry box, you know? If they needed to motivate the rats to escape, they could have, I don't know, put some bait by exit B or something? I mean, do they really need to make it so the rats can drown? You know, the word emergency comes from the same root as the word emerge. You ever think about that? Well, an emergency is something urgent, often something dangerous. And to emerge means to come out of, or appear, or rise out of something else. So what's going to emerge in an emergency? Inspiration? Inspiration? Yeah. Think about it. When the chips are down, either you crack or your mind focuses and pulls up what you need. So in an emergency, your real potential emerges? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. That's why the rats had to drown. They had to be in danger. There had to be an emergency for inspiration to emerge. Alright, that's done. And then we go here, and then 9 photos, right? Now we finally have all 9 picture cards. We just need to insert these in. Okay, I think I can skip. Hey! June, are you okay? I'm sorry, I gotta go check on her. You finish this box thing, alright? Just put these cards in the boxes. I'm counting on you. Are you alright? What happened? Can you stand? I'm sorry. I'm fine. I just tripped. Don't give me that. Now's not the time. But it's true. I tripped over a box. Just let me see for a sec. Oh, you're still warm. Her temperature was much the same as it had been the last time he checked. She wasn't hot like she'd been before, but she was still warm. Her fever wasn't completely gone. I saw her fall. I think she really did just trip on something, you know. Junpei would have been more willing to agree if June hadn't needed quite so much help standing up. Still, to fall down like that, I think she's probably still a little messed up. June was doing her best to busy herself brushing dust off of her dress. Her smile looked a little embarrassed and her face was a bit flushed. But she did look a great deal better than she had. Still. Alright, well, let's get out of here as fast as we can so we can get you to a hospital. Oh, I don't think it's anything that serious. I just need a little medicine and some help, and I'll be fine. Medicine? Huh? Well, if we could get in touch with anyone outside, I'll bet Ace could swing that for you. Ace? Why? Huh? Don't you know? He's the president of a pharmaceutical company. Cradle Pharmaceuticals is the name, I think. Their flagship product is an anesthetic drug called Soprol. Soprol? Soprol. I've heard of that before somewhere. Junpei couldn't shake the feeling that he'd heard about Soprol before. Santa continued. Soprol. It's an anesthetic that's... I actually have a lot of different models that are all relatively similar. I've had them for like a year when I made them. This is what I made today, but because I was feeling something new, but it's all the same base model, red hair and everything. Hairstyles change up, whatever outfit is on them changes. I have a lot of different ones actually. Like, pretty sure I could actually like cycle through them real quick. Here, let me load up one random one that I have. Ah! There. I have this one too. And then I have this one that y'all saw yesterday. And then I have like this one. And I have this one. Ah, sharp teeth. And I also have this one. This is oof. Oh, it's hiding. But I have this one. It's a lot shorter than the others. Yeah, I've got a lot of different kind of ones, like, swinging around. Honestly, it's kind of just, like, whatever strikes the mood, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, I've had them for, like... When I first made the initial model, which... The initial one was, I believe this one? No, not that one, not that one. The initial one was technically, this one. I made this one first, and then I made a bunch of models centered after it. Like, I just started making different ones for whatever struck my fancy. Like, I have this one, but I don't really use it all that often. Well, me, girl. Like, woo-woo. Like, fucking rail me, daddy. No, I'm gonna go back to the one I was using, though. But, yeah, I have, like, a bunch of them. Ooh. Yeah, I like the red dress, too. It's nice. It's cute. But yeah, I hope you had a wonderful night of sleep. I did not, well, I did, but I didn't, I don't know. I'm always restless, and I have, like, major insomnia. So I can, like, almost never get to sleep. There's a lot of anxiety in going to sleep, because, like, I've had a lot of shit happen while I've been asleep. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to voice acting. It's an anesthetic that it's a gas at a room temperature. A lot like how nitrous oxide is. It takes only a few seconds to spread, and a small amount is very effective. A bunch of countries quickly accepted it for widespread use within their police and military forces. It was an effective crowd suppressant and room clearer. It was practical, ethical, and the humane nature of it made it an ideal drug. It's been around for about 6 years. They developed it from the extracts of several different countries' roots. It became popular almost as soon as it was made public, with many governments placing large orders. Demand for Sopril skyrocketed, and of course, that meant Cradle Pharmaceuticals stocked it too. Why do you know all this? Santa's information was interesting, but Junpei couldn't help but feel a little suspicious. Santa's reply was blunt and simple. I heard it from the old man himself. From Ace? When? By the number 4 door at the central stairway. We were searching the second classroom. Remember how Snake 7 and you went to door 5? It was back then. I asked him what he did for a living, and he said he ran his own company. After that, we just started talking, and I guess it just came up, you know? Are you worried about something? No, nothing. As he spoke, Junpei looked over towards Ace. He seemed to be having difficulty with the 9 boxes. the hell is he doing? He turned back to June and Santa. June, don't push yourself, alright? Yes. Santa, could you take care of her? I'll go check on Ace. Looks like he's having trouble. Sure. He gave them both a short nod and then turned and headed towards Ace. What are you doing? Ace's back was to him as Junpei approached. The older man turned around to look at him. His face was pale and covered in sweat. What happened? Nothing. My vision has gotten rather blurry. I think perhaps because of fatigue, I can't see very well at the moment. Why can't you see well? These pictures. Ace held the cards out to Junpei, splayed out in the shape of a fan. I don't care to admit it, but I may be developing presbyopia. Growing old is a difficult thing. He made the best attempt he could at self-deprecating smile, but his face was flushed and his lips were pale and drawn. At any rate, I'll leave the rest to you. I'm feeling awfully tired, so if you don't mind, I'd like to rest for a bit. He shoved the cards into Junpei's hand and walked quickly away. Junpei looked at him quizzically. How could simply looking at cards have tired him out? Junpei looked down at the cards in his hands. All of the pictures were quite clear, and each person easily recognizable. Was Ace's vision truly that bad? But if it wasn't, what had made him so uncomfortable? That was when Junpei remembered what he'd heard from Lotus much earlier. Protoprognosia. Well, put simply, it means a condition where the mind can't distinguish between human faces. In other words, my face would look the same as Clover's or even yours. So they can't remember faces, which is how most people recognize each other. That means that people with prosopagnosia have trouble recognizing even people they're close to. Maybe he's got prosopagnosia. Junpei took another look at Ace. He sat at the base of the stairs looking quite depressed. Well, he looks depressed enough to have it. If he really did have prosopagnosia, there was no doubt it was a depressing and painful experience. Still, Junpei didn't feel like patting him on the shoulder and telling him everything would be alright. Would help much. Still, Junpei felt it was best he keep Ace's condition to himself, at least for the time being. Oh well. Doing his best to clear his mind for the task at hand, he turned back towards the boxes. Time to solve the 9 boxes puzzle. 9 cards. Okay, I think I can skip now. Okay, wait, I'm not... What? What the? Okay, alright. We unlocked there. This is unlocked now. Leave no one behind. Okay, so before I did not get the thing, so we're just gonna skip ahead until we get to the new stuff, and then hopefully we're gonna get this new ending, baby! Oh, I think we're at the new stuff? No, she isn't. Alright. Just in case, we should go take a look in the shower room. The shower room? That's where her brother is. She might have gone to see him. June bit her lip. She knew as Junpei did, there was only one thing to see in the shower room, and it wasn't pleasant. Well, we might as well check, right? Let's go. There was a screwdriver stuck between the door and the frame. Good, we can still get in. We should thank Seven later. Junpei and June slipped through the door, moved down the hallway, and stepped into the shower room. No luck. Yeah, I don't think she's here. June's voice is faint, and she placed her hands over her mouth. She looked a little green. The smell is horrible. The stench in the room is almost unbearable. It had grown far more unpleasant since their last visit. If Junpei had eaten a lunch, he would have had difficulty retaining it. He wanted to leave the room as soon as possible, but he had to be sure, and the only way to be sure was to check the other side of the divider. Let's check the back, just to be sure. June offered no resistance and nodded weakly to Junpei as he headed around the divider. He stopped at the corner and turned his head. She's not here. As he'd expected, Clover was nowhere to be seen. The only thing on the other side of the divider was a dead body lying in a reddish-brown puddle and drying. Snake. Just where did your sister go? Junpei whispered to what was one Snake. He'd asked rhetorically, of course, as there was no way he'd get an answer. He'd give a deep sigh. Such a horrible way to go. The skull shattered, the left arm's hideously twisted. Huh? Wait. The bright white of the ulna was clearly visible through the remains of skin and muscle. Bright white? Ulna? Bones! The pieces fell into place. Junpei remembered something Clover had told him in the laboratory. My brother's left arm is, it's not like a normal person's arm. The accident hurt him really bad. Of course. Why didn't I realize it earlier? Clover told Junpei that Snake's left arm was prosthetic. But the left arm of the corpse behind the divider was quite clearly a real human, or at least it had been once. That meant the corpse... Jumpy? June's unsure voice at Junpei's suddenly strange behavior drew his attention back to her. Sorry for making you wait. Let's go. Junpei and June headed back towards the large hospital room. They stepped through the door and out of the shower room. They had reached the stairs when... Seven appeared, breathless and yelling. Junpei! June! Where were you guys? He looked pale and his face was drawn. Something terrible had happened. Junpei's breath caught in his throat. Did something happen? Seven drew a shaking hand across his face and gulped a breath of air. Clover is dead. I found her in the first-class bathroom. All sound ceased for Junpei. The world was empty, muffled expanses. Then he began to hear his own breathing. June's mouth moved, but he heard nothing. She tried once more, and then her energy was gone, and she collapsed against the wall. He could have helped her, but... he hadn't, and now she was dead. So he stood there and frozen in place. Clover! Why did this happen? He forced his body to move. Each step felt like another nail pounded into his heart. Finally, he was in front of her. He knelt and placed 3 fingers against Clover's neck. No pulse, no breath. But she was still warm and her eyes were closed peacefully. But it would have been easy to think she was asleep. Easy, that is, were it not for the slowly expanding puddle of blood beneath her. He traced its source to her back, a gash just beneath her shoulder blade. Was the weapon a knife, perhaps? If it was a knife, the killer had taken it when they left. When he closed his eyes, he saw Clover's smile. Clover. Her innocent smile, her energy. He would never see her smile again. No way! He could have done something. He could have helped her. His stomach twisted itself into a sickening knot. Let's get out of here, June. Junpei lifted a limp June from the floor and carried her from the bathroom. Are you alright? It was a foolish question and he knew it. Yeah, I think so. Her voice was weak. He could have invested in chalky milk. You know, you're probably right. I want some chalky milk. I haven't had some good chalky milk in a while. That's mainly because I just drink a bunch of water, energy drinks, and alcohol. But I want some chalky milk. I could go for some chalky milk. Yeah. Anyways, her voice was weak. The fever had gone down, but the emotional scars she received were not likely to recede as quickly. Junpei laid his hand on her shoulder as they walked back to the bathroom. You should get some rest. Here, the bed. Can you sit? Yes. She nodded once and stared at the floor. There were 4 others in the room. Ace, Lotus, Santa, and Seven. They all stared at nothing, their faces drawn and tired. After a while, they drifted into the bathroom to see Clover's corpse themselves. Once everyone was back in the bedroom, Junpei walked slowly to the center of it and looked around as the slumped figures gathered there. Who was the first to find the body? Me. Seven spoke from behind Junpei. He turned around. Seven's hand was up. Why'd you come to this room? To look for Clover. Why, yes. I found the body in the bathroom. As soon as I did, I ran outside. I got to the top of the stairs by the casino and yelled as loud as I could. Hey, guys, I found her, but it's bad. She's in the bathroom in the first class cabin. Or something like that. Then I went back to the bathroom. Ace, Santa, and Lotus showed up real soon after that. But I guess you two hadn't heard me or something because you didn't show. So I took off down the stairs to look for you. After that, you know the rest, right? Junpei nodded and closed his eyes. There was one more thing he needed to ask. Seven, there's one more thing I'm worried about. What? You stuck one of those plates between the doors and the frame, right? Why'd you do that? Come on, didn't I already tell you that? I did it so that the door wouldn't look. So we could come back to this room. Oh, you think I did it? Well, I don't know. That kind of depends on what you say, doesn't it? For crying out loud. Seven sighed and shook his head. Follow me. There were 2 doors standing next to one another. He opened one on the right. Closet? Yeah. Seven stepped inside. He stood in front of one of the shelves that filled it and gestured towards a small box. The box was a small metal cube. He looked at Junpei. This is the reason. This safe. We couldn't open it when we were getting through this room. I figured there might be something pretty important in it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I figured eventually we might figure out what the numbers are for the safe. And if we did, I didn't want to screw around with door 5 again. So I put the plate in the exit door so we could get back in the way. You get it now? Yeah. Junpei nodded and looked at the safe. He grabbed the handle and shook it. Figured it wouldn't open. Figured it would open? The fuck? It was as locked as it had been when Seven found it. Huh? There was one change, however. The underneath was a pile of reddish-brown powder. Rust. Junpei stared at it, considering. If there's rust in here, that means... Has someone opened the safe? Junpei left the closet. Seven followed him back to the bedroom. It was cold and quiet. No one spoke. They sat frozen in place by shock and grief and fatigue. The room felt tiny and oppressive, and the thick metallic smell of blood filled the room. Junpei turned and headed for the living room. Anything to get out of there. Maybe there's another clue. Anything that might lead us to discover who stabbed Clover. As quickly as they could, they searched around and under the beds and in the corners. His eyes caught on the door. The door that led to the passageway of door number 5. Behind the door. The 9th man's body is behind there. Maybe I should have another look at it, just in case. Quietly, he pushed open the door. Ugh. The smell hit him like a blow to the face. The hell is this? The smell is... His lungs contracted, unwilling to inhale such fetid air. Acid boiled up from the base of his stomach, churning what little food there was to a violent froth. It was too much for him, and he vomited. A thin stream of yellow water and bile splattered onto the floor. Ugh. He wiped his mouth weakly and stared at the dead body. Chunks of torn flesh lay in an arc around the body. What remained of the intestines had slid out on the floor. The pool of blood that framed it was half dry, but so thick that it had taken on a texture not unlike that of an egg yolk prepared sunny side up. On the floor next to the broken mass of the man's head lay his glasses, cracks spidering across the lenses. The blood stains near them had already dried like scabs on the floor. Wait, that was when he noticed. It's gone. His bracelet. It's gone. It was right next to the glasses. But now, it was gone. The number 9 bracelet was gone. But why? Had someone taken it? He was turning it over and over in his mind when he heard Seven's voice. Huh? Where'd Junpei go? They drifted out to him from the living room. Junpei walked slowly out of the hallway. Oh, there you are. Were you looking for something in the hallway? Seven looked up as Junpei entered the room. Yeah. Did you find something? He thought for a moment before he responded. No, nothing. Technically, it wasn't a lie. He hadn't found anything in a way. In fact, that was the problem. Something he'd expected to find hadn't been there. The 9th man's bracelet. What's up? Well, I wanted you to take a look at something. What is it? Seven led Junpei back to the bathroom. Clover. As Clover's corpse came into view, he felt his heart flip, and then fall to the bottom of his stomach. Something between a sigh and a groan escaped his lips. What was it you wanted to show me? His voice was hollow and empty. I searched Clover's body again. A real shame, she was stabbed once in the back, probably by a knife or something. And I found this. As he spoke, he moved around Clover's head, then knelt down and flipped over her right hand. What? She was holding a piece of paper. I haven't actually looked at it yet. Didn't want to disturb the crime scene, you know? Basic stuff. Well, I did borrow one thing. He wasn't sure what that meant, but it likely didn't matter. The paper was more important. I'm opening it. He picked it up and carefully opened it. There were 2 sentences written on it. Truth had gone, and truth had gone. Ah, now truth is asleep in the darkness of the sinister hand. What is this? What is this? Some kind of secret code? Seven peered over Junpei's shoulder at the note. Junpei stepped away from Clover's body and into the living room. He began to pace, attempting to decode the note. A code. The first clue is likely the phrase sinister hand. Sinister hand means... the right hand? No, that's not right. In heraldry, the term sinister was used to refer to the left side of the coat of arms. Or more accurately, it referred to things on the left side of a bearer of coat of arms. The left hand. The left hand. What does this mean? Junpei looked at his own left arm. At the bracelet on his wrist. Does the darkness of the sinister hand have something to do with the bracelet? He examined the bracelet closely. There's 2 things sticking out on either side of the bracelet. Face. The left and right side of the faces. Left and right. Left and right. Right and left. Truth is gone. Truth gone. Truth gone. Maybe those 2 words... How about reading them backwards? Gone and truth. Enog and Turk. What am I saying? Those aren't even words. I doubt that's what the riddle's trying to say. It wasn't a bad idea, though. Truth gone. Those 2 words. Maybe there's something about how they sound out loud? Truth gone? Nope. They surrounded the same in my head. Time for a different idea. What else could gone and truth mean? Truth, of course, means something that is correct, something that's fact. In other words, something is right. You could say, assume that gone means left. After all, something left, they were gone. But in this case, they clearly refer to directional homonyms. Then truth equals right, and gone is left. Junpei looked at the bracelet again. The left and right of the bracelet. These 2 things sticking out. So if I press them in the following order. Truth had gone, truth had gone, truth had gone. So, right, left, right, left, right, left. Right, left, right, left, right, left. And then... one after another. 8 numbers flashed on, then off of Junpei's of the face of Junpei's bracelet. Wait, did it just... He checked one more time to be sure. 1 4 3 8 3 4 2 1. 14384 Huh? What are those numbers? Junpei didn't answer. He couldn't answer. He had no idea what they were either. Besides, he was sure he would forget the numbers in the order they came in if he said anything. 1438342 Muttering the numbers to himself over and over, Junpei headed towards the bedroom. 1438342 1438342 1438342 1438342 Before long, he found himself in front of the safe again. Its lock was the only device he could think of that required a sequence of numbers such as the ones he had just discovered. Besides, someone had opened the safe at least once already. Had Clover come to the bedroom to open it? Junpei slowly dialed in the numbers the bracelet had given him. 1 to the right, 4 to the left, and... finished. Bingo! I knew it was for this. A small, telltale sound of a lock opening. He grabbed the handle, took a deep breath, and pulled it up. Is this some sort of note? Inside was a piece of paper. It was roughly the same as the size of the one Clover had been holding. Let's see. Junpei picked it up. This is what it said. Fact number 1. The Nonary game was once played before, 9 years ago. Fact number 2. The person with the number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago. Fact 3. It was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceuticals CEO, Gentaro Hongo. Cradle Pharmaceuticals Chief of Staff, Nagisa Nijisaki. Cradle Pharmaceuticals R&D Supervisor, Teruyaki Kubota. Majority shareholder, Cradle Pharmaceuticals, Kajichika Musashito. I must punish them for the innocence. This is the only warning they will receive. Their innocent souls might be saved. I now state the truth. Junpei left the closet. There were 5 people waiting for him in the bedroom. Ace, Lotus, Santa, Seven, and June. He looked at each one of them and turned and slowly placed his hands in the pockets of his vest. Sorry, but do you think you could all come with me? Come with you? I want all of you to go to the big hospital room. Why? There's something I want to be sure of. What do you want to be sure of? I want to know if the person I suspect is really the culprit. Wait, then you'll sang. Yeah, I think I've got it figured out. I know who killed Snake and Clover. The atmosphere in the room changed. Grief was suddenly gone, replaced by attention like a strap of leather stretched to its limits. 5 sets of eyes stared at Junpei. He pretended not to notice. Anyway, if you could all please move to the big hospital room. I'll explain. As soon as possible. Then, almost as if on cue, the bell began to ring. They all heard it. It was the bell from the clock on the main staircase. The bell rang 5 times, then ceased. It's 5 o'clock. We've only got an hour left. We don't have a lot of time left. Let's go. Slowly, one by one, they followed Junpei out of the bedroom. Let's see here. Actually, before we get started, I was hoping you could do something for me. Junpei stopped in front of door 3 and turned around. Ace, Seven, and Lotus, could you please place your poems on the red? Huh? Why? If we need to get to the shower room, why don't we just... No, we're not going inside. Once you've authenticated, step away from the door. Why? Please just do it. Or perhaps you don't want to know who killed Snake and Clover. Junpei's implication was clear, and Seven understood perfectly. Oh, fine. What about you, Ace, Lotus? Very well. Sure. Quickly, they pressed their palms onto the red. Once they had finished, they stepped away from the door as Junpei had instructed. 3 asterisks shown from the red's display panel. I have this idea. I don't think this device responds to a hand placed on it. It instead reacts to the bracelet being brought close. You don't actually need a hand. Junpei approached and held his bracelet over the scanner. He made quite sure he didn't place his palm on it, and instead only brought his bracelet near it. The fourth asterisk appeared. I knew it. Just as Junpei had expected, it was possible to authenticate without placing one's palm on the red, so long as the bracelet was brought near it. Junpei pulled down the lever. Door 3 opened like a hungry mouth. 9 long seconds passed, and the door shut unfed. Junpei walked slowly to the others who were waiting some distance from the door, talking to one another. Santa and June had joined them as well. It looked as though they hadn't found a chance to break into the conversation yet. As Junpei approached, they turned to look at him. Curiosity plain on their faces. Before long, the other three did as well. What was that about? How should I know? Clearly, they were all expecting some answers. Thanks. I appreciate your cooperation. Clearly, they'd hoped for something more forthcoming. He continued. By the way, Ace, would you mind if I asked you something? What is it? Do you know who I am? What? What kind of question is that? Just answer it, please. Who am I? You're Junpei, of course. Who else would you be? Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer. Actually, I'm Santa. What? Ace's voice was full of surprise, but it was also tinged with confusion and fear. Everyone else looked nearly as surprised. Huh? Santa looked especially shocked to discover he was actually someone else. If he spoke, however, the trap would be exposed. Junpei quickly continued. The clothes I'm wearing, I borrowed from Junpei. And the clothes he's wearing are mine. We had a little swap. That's ridiculous. Impossible. So you're saying I'm not Santa? Of course you aren't. Why? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa? If you were Santa, then the door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. 1 plus 7 plus 8 plus 3 equals 19. 1 plus 9 would be 10. The digital root would be 1. But the 4 of us just opened door 3. You can't possibly be Santa. Your bracelet number isn't 3. It's 5, right. Only then, it was too late, did Ace realize his mistake. He set his jaw and glared at Junpei. You're exactly right. My bracelet is 5. As he spoke, Junpei lifted his wrist to show everyone the bright red 5 on his wrist. Sorry, Ace. I tricked you. Of course I'm not really Santa. I'm Junpei. Who could possibly think I was? It's obvious. I'm not. To think I was, ridiculous. But I guess you couldn't just see just how obvious it was. I asked you before, didn't I? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa? And you answered? If you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. Most people wouldn't say something like that. The first thing that would come to anyone else's mind wouldn't be the bracelet number. There'd only be one thing they'd say. One sentence. You don't have his face. Ace, you have Prosia Prognosa. Am I right? Junpei's voice was quiet and calm. He knew the truth, so did Ace. Prosia Prognosa? The others looked confused. What's that? No clue. Prosia Prognosa is... He heard Lotus begin to explain it to them. Ace glared at them and then turned back towards Junpei and sighed. Very well. I confess. I have Prosia Prognosia. I cannot differentiate human faces. Is that what this is about? You want to mock me for my disorder? No, not at all. I'm not making fun of you at all. In fact, I feel kind of bad for you. No, the reason I brought this up is that there's an excellent chance the person who killed Snake has Prosia Prognosia. Ace's face tightened, his eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Junpei leaned casually against the iron piping of one of the beds. I'll just come right out with it. I think it was you, Ace. You killed him. Junpei was suddenly very aware of 5 pairs of eyes on him. He had their undivided attention now. The room had grown very, very quiet. Junpei took a deep breath. That's ridiculous. What possible evidence do you have? I have 3 pieces of evidence to... The first. Think back to a few hours ago. You made us argue over the 3 doors in the big hospital room. There was no way all 7 could go through them. Lotus suggested that we sacrifice one of us. Lotus looked away awkwardly. Junpei glanced at her and continued, "Then you, Ace, and said, I'll stay here." "Okay, fine. I'll drink some goddamn water. I have a water bottle. See the neck going woo? It's breaking because I'm drinking water. Okay. Alright, we continue. Why would you say something like that? It's pretty simple, really. You didn't want us to see the dead body in the shower room. You see, if Ace stayed behind, there were only 2 doors the rest of us could go through. Doors 7 and 8. There was no way we could get through door 3, the shower room. You knew that, didn't you, Ace? That's why you volunteered to stay behind. Come on now, I think that's going a bit far. I can understand if you're jealous of my bravery, but please don't devalue my actions. I only wanted to save the rest of you. Surely you can understand my altruism. Altruism, huh? Junpei stared off into the darkness at something very interesting and lazily began to dig a persistent bit of wax out of his ear. You already knew, didn't you? You knew that whichever door we took, eventually we'd end up back in the big hospital room. What on earth are you saying? Of course I didn't know that. How could I have? Really? Yes. Pleading was not something they'd heard from Ace before. Huh. Junpei pulled a piece of wax from his ear, glanced at it, and flicked it off into the darkness. Ah, well, that's cool. I still got 2 more pieces of evidence that say you're the killer. The second is that, as I said earlier, you have prosopagnosia. Then you mean to imply that a person who can't distinguish human faces must be a bad person? Junpei, they call that prejudice. No, I'm not that stupid. Then why? Well, before I explain, I suppose there's something I should tell you. The corpse in the shower room. It's not Snake's. What? Ace's face went pale. The others looked confused as well. If the body wasn't Snake's. I didn't put it together right away. Something Clover told me. She said that Snake's left arm was prosthetic. He lost his real arm in an accident. Let's call him Guy X. The Guy X's left arm was definitely flesh and blood. In other words, Guy X couldn't possibly have been Snake. Oh god, no, that's impossible. Ace had started muttering to himself, shaking his head back and forth. Junpei was long past caring. Let's say, hypothetically, that the killer didn't have prosopagnosia. If that were the case, he would have immediately realized that Guy X wasn't Snake. Even if the clothes were the same as Snake's, their faces would be completely different. It wouldn't have been obvious they were different. It would have been obvious they were different people. And yet, they still killed him. Why? Why would they kill a stranger who'd only just shown up? On the other hand, the killer did have prosopagnosia. It makes sense. They thought Guy X was Snake and killed him. Wait just a moment. Let's say you're right, and I mistook Guy X for Snake. Even if I did, I would have had no motive to kill him. Why would I want to kill Snake? I can think of at least 2 motives. 1, Snake knew about your past. If he ever revealed what he knew, that would have been really bad for you. You really didn't want that to happen to him. You killed him. You wanted to make sure Snake's mouth stayed shut. 2, Snake had a grudge against you. You knew that, or at least you could have easily assumed he did. Even without exposing your identity, he was a threat to you. You never knew when you might be attacked. You could never let your guard down. Every moment was a moment he might try something. You didn't want what kind of danger hanging over you. So you... Hey, hold on a minute. For the first time since the beginning of the Junpei's explanation, someone besides Ace spoke. What's the past that Ace wouldn't want us to know? Why did Snake have a grudge against him? Look at this. He handed Santa a small piece of paper. What's this piece of paper? Santa squinted at the paper and began to read. The Nonary game was once played before 9 years ago. The person with number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago. It was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceuticals CEO Gentaro Hongo. What is this? Slowly Santa looked up from the paper. His eyes met Junpei's. It's the message from Zero. It was in the safe in the first class cabin. Then suddenly... Give me a break! Ace's face was red and shaking, and his voice was full of fury, tinged with desperation. That paper is a lie. Someone is trying to frame me. Me? You said me, right? Junpei's eyes narrowed and the trap began to close. Ugh! Ace inhaled sharply. His eyes flickered off of Junpei's to something, anything else. Wouldn't that mean you're admitting you're Hongo, the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceuticals? Or am I mistaken? It was as though a switch had been flipped. The color drained from Ace's face as he realized what he'd done. His eyes weren't wide. Very well. I admit that much. I am certainly the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceuticals, Gentaro Hongo. So what if I am? I don't know anything about this Nonary game that supposedly took place 9 years ago. Everything on that scrap of paper is bullshit. Someone is trying to set me up, you see? First of all, Ace stammered as he tried desperately to work himself to a more tenable position. Junpei, you're claiming I did all this by myself. Think of that over, alright? How could I have killed Snake by myself? Not Snake. It was Guy X. I don't care who it was. You said the killer put this other man into door 3, right? Yeah, maybe. Then I couldn't have possibly done that alone. I couldn't have opened the door 3 with only myself and Guy X. Nope, you could have. Huh? Oh? Huh? What? Ace's face was tight and his teeth were clenched. Junpei fixed him with a level stare. The trap was about to close. Actually, Ace, when you were unconscious, I took something from you. Remember when you were injected with that anesthetic and fell asleep in the big hospital room? Yeah, back then. I took this. Junpei put his hand into his pocket. No, you couldn't have. Ace's right hand moved. Junpei smiled. I got you, Ace. You're right there. Your right hand there tells me all I needed to know. You want to tell me what you were so worried about? What's in your pocket? It's the number 9 bracelet, isn't it? Ace, Guy X, and the 9th man's bracelet. That was all you needed to open door 3. 1 plus 2 plus 9 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. That's how you killed Guy X all by yourself, Ace. All you needed was the number 9 bracelet in your chest pocket. Ace lowered his hand where it had stopped, halfway to his pocket. He looked down at the floor, his face hidden from Junpei. All he could see was the corner of Ace's mouth, twitching like a dying fish. If you want to play innocent, that's fine by me. Go ahead. Tell me I don't have the bracelet if that's what you want to do. But if you could take off your coat and hand it to me, I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, we'll have to take it from you by force. Right, Seven? Yeah, it'd be my pleasure. Seven cracked his knuckles with a sound like gunfire. He threw his arms wide and his head back and laughed, filling the room with a sound that scarcely belonged there. Then it stopped. His arms came down and his head dropped to look straight ahead at Junpei. His face was flat and cold, devoid of any emotion. Well done, Junpei. As you correctly deduced, I have the number 9 bracelet. I left the room I was supposed to search, and headed to the first-class cabin on B deck. His voice showed no emotion, no sense of remorse or interest. It was almost poor, as though he was reciting an especially dull corporate letter. My purpose was to obtain the number 9 bracelet. 9 is a potent ally in the Nonary game. Adding 9 to any sorts of set of digital numbers won't alter the digital root. 1 plus 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. 2 plus 9 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. 3 plus 9 is 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3. As you can see, 9 is a very useful number here. With it, you can go anywhere with anyone. It is, I suppose you could say, a game changer. So I made for the first class cabin to obtain it in mere moments. I successfully acquired the number 9 bracelet. There was also an unexpected bonus. The ninth man had used. I quickly pocketed both of them and left. I made my way to where I was expected to be. That's when I ran into Snake. Well, this guy X, actually. I spotted him ahead of me. He was heading for the large hospital room and hadn't noticed me. The man wearing Snake's clothes arrived at door 3. When he stopped, I walked up behind him and called out, "Snake!" He turned around. He said nothing, his mouth simply hung half open. He seemed dazed somehow, almost like a man half asleep. Perhaps he had been drugged. It wasn't important. I tend to gloss over little things like that. I was certain that man was Snake. I knew Snake had taken part in the Nonary game 9 years ago. Being blind, it made sense that he didn't recognize me immediately upon our first meeting. But why then hadn't Snake said anything to me later? Surely he hadn't forgotten what happened to him in the Nonary game, but not once did he attempt to confront me. Did his lack of sight prevent him from fully recognizing who I was? Or perhaps Snake had conspired with Zero to deceive me? Regardless, he was a threat. It was better to deal with him sooner rather than later. I had to get rid of him before he took action. With quick thinking, my plan went into motion immediately. I held the number 9 bracelet over the door. I waved my own bracelet in front of the red, and then grabbed Snake's arms and shoved his arm against the scanner panel. The door opened. I threw the man through it. 9 seconds later, the door shut. 81 seconds passed. The man inside the door passed away. After that, I returned to my post as though nothing had happened. After conducting my own search, I returned to the large hospital room when the 1 a.m. bell rang. Ace's eyes were cold and his cheeks were hollow and pallid. When he spoke, only his lips and tongue moved. The rest of his face were eerily still. Junpei glared at Ace. He took a deep breath and thought about it. The next question he had to ask. He didn't want to. He knew what the answer would be. He just didn't want to hear it. Junpei swallowed, then spoke. Ace, did you kill Clover? Yes. Why? Why did you kill her? She was Snake's sister. It was possible he had told her something dangerous. Additionally, she had gone through door 1. It seemed likely she might have found it. Found what? Why don't you go through door 1 yourself? Perhaps it's hidden somewhere. Seven and Lotus interrupted. Yeah, but Lotus and I went through door number 1 too. We didn't see anything suspicious. Yeah, I thought as much after I heard your report at the central stairs. I doubt the two of you could find it. But perhaps Clover was different. Perhaps she had found it. I was therefore desperate to find her. And at that last I did, in the first class cabin. I spoke very calmly. Did you see it? See what? Don't act as if you don't understand. You were in the captain's quarters, weren't you? Huh? What are you talking about?
Very well. By the way, what are you doing here, Clover?
What? Nothing.
There's blood on your shoes. It looks fresh. Did you go take a look at the ninth man's corpse? I see. Your silence suggests that you noticed. You saw something, didn't you? You saw that his bracelet was gone.
No. Clover ran. She made for the exit, but Ace stood in her way.
You aren't going anywhere!
He caught her by the collar as she passed him through to the floor hard.
You're staying here.
No! She leapt back up and darted past him into the hallway. Ace followed at a run.
Don't you run, little girl.
He was faster.
That was how I killed Clover.
His face hadn't changed. He felt guilt or remorse or anything one might feel after taking the life of another human being. It didn't show.
You son of a bitch!
Seven's whole body trembled with rage, and his voice rumbled with hate.
Ugh.
Santa's eyes were bloodthirsty, and Lotus and June's faces were distorted by anger and hatred. Ace looked at them and smiled. It was a cold, cruel thing with no humor in it. He shook his head and sighed.
I admit it. I've lost. I have lost. Completely and utterly. But don't misunderstand, Junpei. I didn't lose to you. I lost to Zero, not you. I'm rather disgusted with myself for falling into such a simple trap. I looked the fool. And it was a trap, make no mistake. I was trapped and manipulated by Zero. The man I killed in the shower room. If he wasn't Snake, then I have no idea who he was. But he was wearing Snake's clothes, and that was no coincidence. He had also been injected with something that reduced his cognition and prevented him from identifying himself or resisting me. And we can't forget the components that were removed from the red before we arrived. I have no doubt that Zero planned all of this. Zero made sure I would kill that man. It follows, of course, that Zero knew everything I would do. That I would try to take the number 9 bracelet. That I would try to kill Snake. Everything.
Suddenly, Junpei remembered the paper he'd found in the safe. He remembered the last words Zero had written on it. I must punish them. For the innocent lives they sacrificed, this is the only warning they will receive. That innocent souls might be saved, I now state the truth. And he remembered other words he heard from Clover. I think Zero is one of us. One by one, Junpei looked at the 5 people standing in front of him. Ace, Santa, June, Seven, Lotus. Zero is one of us? No, wait. There's one more person. Snake, the man who died in the shower room, isn't Snake. That means he's almost certainly still alive. Maybe Snake is Zero. Maybe he made Guy X wear his clothes so that we'd all think he was dead. Where's Snake now? What if he's off somewhere laughing at us? If he is Zero, then he must be lying to us about everything else. Is he watching us?
Well, I believe I finished with my confession. Why don't we get moving?
He sounded as if he'd just finished doing nothing more than exciting and then describing the weather. For Santa, it was the last straw.
What the hell is this shit? You aren't going anywhere, you son of a bitch. We're gonna leave your ass here to rot. Why? Because I killed Clover? That's ridiculous. Why are you so upset that I killed that little bitch? She was nothing to you, a stranger you only met a few hours ago, am I wrong? You bastard!
Seven roared and lifted a fist that would likely have shattered Ace's jaws. But someone else was faster. It was Lotus. She stepped towards Ace, raised a fist of her own, and drove it straight into his nose.
Blindsiding me with a punch, huh? You've got some fire, don't you? I confess, I rather like a tough woman.
He sniffed and wiped a small trickle of blood from his nose with a raised eyebrow. Well, maybe you'd like another one then.
Ha! Before that, let me give you one of my own.
Huh? Lotus scarcely had time to blink. Ace snaked his arms around her and pulled Lotus back up against him. In the same motion, he reached into his coat pocket. It was a gun, the revolver. Almost lazily, he tilted it to point at Lotus's head.
If any of us you so much as blink, I won't hesitate to pull this trigger. I've already killed 2, 3 people. Don't think I'm not ready to make it 4.
3 people? What do you mean?
Huh. Very well, let me take this opportunity to illuminate you. The person who killed the 9th man was me. Although I suppose to be more accurately, I encouraged him to get himself killed. While we were examining the main staircase, he came to me and told me his name. I recognized it at once, so I gave him a little push, just a little white lie. It seems the settings for the dead were altered. Now it only requires a single person to deactivate the detonator in the bracelet. Investigating what's beyond door 5, we'll meet again later. And with that...
Okay, have a good one, guys. I'm going off ahead now. Well then. Shit, why isn't it stopping? God damn it! You lied! Open the door! Please, I'm begging you. Help me, please, get me out of here, get me out of here! Oh my god, there's no time left! Listen, I was lied to. He lied to me. He put me in here. It was him. He killed me. It was him. Yo! I'm so happy I got to voice him again for 2 seconds.
I had 4 reasons for killing him. 1. As I said before in the Nonary games, the number 9 bracelet is of utmost importance. If I had allowed him to keep such a useful tool, he or I would have become a threat to me. As such, I decided he should be eliminated early on. 2. I wanted the number 9 bracelet. If I could manage to obtain it, I would be able to manipulate the game as I saw fit. I would be unable to acquire the bracelet unless its owner was dead. That's the second reason. 3. Even setting aside his number, he would have been nothing but trouble for me. He was aware of my past. He knew what happened here 9 years ago. It was important that I eliminate him before he was able to disseminate this information. Lastly, I wished to conduct a simple test. A test to see if this Nonary game was serious or a poor attempt at a joke. I needed to be quite sure. As such, I encouraged him to act against the rules, so that I might observe the outcome.
Junpei glared at him. I don't get your third motive. What the hell happened 9 years ago?
Didn't I say the Nonary game was played? I planned it out, conducted its execution.
Why? What on earth was it supposed to do?
I don't really think I have any obligation to tell you that.
Ace smirked. He was trying to provoke them, and it was working. Although Ace had paid very little attention to Lotus after catching her, the gun had never wavered from her temple. She looked quite pale, and when she spoke, her voice shook. Hey, what's with this gun? Where did he get this?
Why don't you tell her, Santa?
Santa ground his teeth and glared at Ace. On the other side of door 6, we found the gun in the coffin in the cargo room, right? The bastard must have grabbed it when we weren't looking.
Indeed I did. It's a pretty serious mistake, you know.
Just saying, you intended to leave it behind? Ace laughed a short, derisive snort and gave Junpei a sickeningly pitying look.
Well, there isn't much time left. I'll be off then.
Where are you going?
Do I really need to explain? I had assumed it would be obvious. I have the number 9 bracelet, and now I have Lotus. 9 plus 1 plus 8 equals 9. Wasn't there a door with a 9 on it in the room that looked like a church?
That's where you're going, isn't it?
And how do you know that?
Santa told me about it while we were looking for Clover.
I see. Well, you are correct. That is my destination. But now I must say goodbye to all of you. Ah, and please don't forget my warning. Move and I'll pull the trigger. I don't need her alive to open the door, you know. As he spoke, Ace began hacking toward the door, practically dragging Lotus behind him. Shit! He's getting away. We can't risk it. Junpei, Santa, June, and Steven stood frozen. Ace had the face of a man gone mad. They had no doubt he would pull the trigger. Ace had reached the exit. Now, Lotus, open the door for me if you would. He forced Lotus to open it, then turned and addressed them once more. Goodbye. Then he stepped through the door. It fell shut. In the blink of an eye, they were gone. Damn it! As soon as Ace and Lotus were gone, Junpei and the others leapt for the door in pursuit of Ace. But as Junpei laid his hand on the doorknob, there was a noise behind him. He looked over his shoulder. June was kneeling on the floor, breathing heavily. Hey, June, what happened? Are you alright? Santa to June and wrapped in her arm around her before she could collapse all the way. Jesus, you're burning up. Your fever's back. Are you okay? June's fever had returned again for no apparent reason. Her eyes were watery and her eyelids drooped. Her breath came in dry, shallow gasps. I'm okay. Really, I'm fine. You should be worrying about Lotus. She was breathing hard now and she could barely summon the strength to talk. But Junpei was torn. He couldn't leave alone in the state she was in. Every moment they waited, Ace was further away, Lotus's life in his hands. What was Junpei supposed to do? June's eyes drifted to Junpei's. She managed to muster a weak smile. Don't worry about me, Jumpy. You just need a little rest. I'll be fine. Don't you remember? I just needed to rest a little bit last time. So, please save Lotus. Think about what Ace has already done, Junpei. When he's got what he needs from Lotus, you really think he's just gonna let her walk away? Damn it! You guys go on ahead. Soon as June starts feeling better, we'll follow you. Go! Junpei looked at June. She nodded once. She couldn't manage much more. But it was all the confirmation Junpei needed. His resolve was set. Alright, come on, Seven. We're going after Ace. Hell yeah! Santa, you take good care of June. I'm trusting you. Got it. Santa nodded. Junpei turned before he had a chance to change his mind and started running towards the door. He could hear Seven's heavy footsteps behind him. Let's go! Junpei and Seven exploded into the hallway, their feet pounding the metal floor as they ran. Junpei and Seven had finally arrived at the church, exhausted and out of breath. As their lungs struggled to catch their breath, their eyes frantically scanned the room. Where are they? I don't see them. You think they already went through? He reached up to a palm full of sweat on his brow. Maybe. Even as he spoke, Junpei was already on his way to the larger of the number 9 doors. Let's check the red. The display panel read vacant. He spun around and headed towards the smaller door. The red would tell him if Ace and Lotus had moved to another room. Engaged! It's occupied. That means Ace and Lotus went through here. Yeah, it seems like it. Junpei had stepped away from the door. They retreated to the center of the room and began to talk. What do we do now? Yeah, what should we do? Well, the big door is still vacant, but the two of us can't do anything with it. Yeah, not even counting our digital route isn't 9. Just then, as they were pondering what to do next, there was a noise. A noise like something hitting a wick wooden panel. What's that sound? It's the coffin!
Junpei looked up surprised. Seven followed suit, his eyes jumping around the room. It's coming from over there. It wasn't long before they found the altar. Or more precisely, what was on it? The coffin. Yeah. Let's open it. How? By force. I don't think that's gonna happen. Well, you never know until you try, right? The only necessity for success is the willingness to suffer 1,000 failures. Who said that? I forget. Anyway, we gotta try. Junpei and Seven leapt at the coffin. They grabbed hold of what purchase they could find and pulled. Damn. See? Didn't I tell you? If you could just pull it open, why'd it have something like that? Seven pointed to the keypad on the side of the coffin. Right, so unless I put in the right passcode, it's not going to open. The noise hadn't stopped. In fact, as it continued, it had only gotten louder and more forceful. What were they supposed to do, Junpei wondered. Was there some sort of clue somewhere? They stood there for a few minutes staring at the coffin, and then Seven spoke. Hey, Junpei, I remember you mumbling some weird numbers over by the bathroom in the first class cabin. You got those numbers by solving the secret message Clover was holding, right? Truth had gone or something like that? Yeah, that's right. What about it? Well, maybe that number's the passcode for this thing, too. Come on. That's impossible. Those numbers were the code to unlock that safe. Yeah, but the person who set up that safe in this coffin is the same person, right? Zero set up both of these. Yeah, probably. Well, then they might have set the same passcode for both of them. That's ridiculous. Why don't you try it? I mean, it's not like it'll make things any worse. It'd just be a waste of time. There's no way they're the same number. How do you know that? You never know until you try. The only necessity for success is the willingness to suffer 1,000 failures. Who said that? You. Fine. He knelt down in front of the keypad and looked at it. Perhaps because he'd repeated them so many times before, the numbers came easily to Junpei's mind. 1438421. 1438341. Quickly, he typed them in. He checked that he'd entered the right numbers, took a deep breath, and pressed the E button. It only took a moment. What? You've got to be kidding me. There was a click. And with a heavy clunk, the lid of the coffin slid off onto the floor. Someone sat up from inside. Snake? You? Why? I forgot what voice I was using for Snake. Fuck. Those voices. Junpei and Seven, unless I'm mistaken. Where are the others? Are they elsewhere? Are they elsewhere? Of course, there was no reason Snake would have known anything about where anyone else would be. Junpei and Seven looked at one another. There was a great deal he needed to know, but... They had to tell him something, however, so they began to talk. Snake explained to them how he came to be locked in the coffin. Apparently he'd been hit with some sort of knockout gas, and Junpei and Seven explained what had happened to the rest of them. Huh, I see. I believe I get the gist of everything. Have I been sufficiently caught up? No, there was one thing they kept from him. There was one thing, however, that neither Seven nor Junpei could bring themselves to say. That Ace had killed Clover. They feared that if Snake knew, he might well go insane. Yeah. They decided as much by the look the moment Snake had climbed out of the coffin. But that still doesn't explain why you were trapped in here. We've still no clue about Zero's true identity, let alone why the hell he's doing all this. Why did he put Guy X in Snake's clothes? Is this all stuff somehow related to that No-Nerd game that was played 9 years ago? Hey Snake, do you know anything? Junpei puts the question to Snake. His answer was less than illuminating. What are you talking about? I apologize, but I have no idea what you're saying. It seemed as though Snake was perhaps not being entirely honest, But that knowledge did Junpei and Seven little good. Oh, come on. Just tell us if you know. I don't know what to tell you. How can I know something I don't? No matter how many times they asked, he insisted that he knew nothing. It was becoming clear that Snake wouldn't give in, and every second they spent asking him was a second wasted. This is bad. We're running out of time. We need to go after Ace. However... They stood in silence, the overpowering atmosphere of the chapel almost stifling. Junpei, Seven, and Snake simply stood at a loss for what they should do next. What do we do now? He glanced over at Snake's wrist. Sure enough, he could see the 2 on the bracelet on Snake's wrist. The 3 of us can't make a digital root of 9. Wait, no, that's not it. The 3 of us can't make a digital root of 9. No, that's not the voice. The 3 of us can't make a digital root of 9. Yeah, we just get 5. We're stuck here then. Oh, hey, I just remembered something. Seven began putting his pockets as if he were checking to see if any of them held anything. What? What is it? I, found something earlier. What did you find? This. He finally found the pocket he wanted and his hand dove into it. Seven pulled out something round and metal. Bracelet? There was no mistaking the number glowing at them from the face like a cartoon eye. 0. Zero's bracelet. What did you say? Are you saying that 7 has... Are you saying that 7 has the number 0 bracelet? Yeah. Where did you get that? Snake's question was innocent enough, but if he learned the truth, if he'd been able to see, he would have noticed 7 looked away. Clover gave it to me. She did? Yeah. How did she come by it? Well, she found it, I see. On the other side of door 1, A-deck, in the captain's quarters. She asked me to hold on to it because it was too big and bulky for her to be lugging around. He's lying. Junpei could tell right away that 7 wasn't telling the truth. He's even told us earlier. I haven't actually looked at it yet. Didn't want to disturb the crime scene, you know, basic stuff. Well, I did borrow one thing. He probably said that so Snake doesn't find out about Clover. Alright, Junpei, been nice knowing you. What? 7 plus 2 plus 0 equals 9. So come on, man, I'm just kidding. Still, just in case, I want to make sure the 0 bracelet gets picked up by the red. Snake, give me a hand, alright? Without waiting for a response, he started walking towards the door. Junpei and Snake followed him quietly. Before long, they found themselves in front of the larger of the 2 doors. 7 and Snake put their palms on the red. Once they'd done that, 7 put the 0 bracelet on the scanner panel as well. The third asterisk appeared on the screen. 7 plus 2 plus 0 equals 9. Now they just needed to pull the lever and the door would open. Huh? Why isn't it opening? Well, the third asterisk lit up, so it must have registered the 0 bracelet. Maybe it isn't actually 0. Huh? What? That bracelet may not actually produce the number 0 when scanned. This is what I'm saying. Why don't we try a few different combinations? Perhaps we can determine what number that bracelet actually contains. Got it. Junpei nodded. They decided to use the following combinations. Let's do all of them. Let's try all 3 of us in the bracelet. Snake plus Junpei plus 7 equals 14. 1 plus 4 equals 5. If this combination works, then the combination for this bracelet is 4. It didn't open. Then this bracelet is not 4. Then Junpei continued. They decided to use the following combination. Junpei plus 7 plus the bracelet. Let's try me 7 in the bracelet. Junpei plus 7. If this combination works, then the number for this bracelet is 6. They scanned in their bracelets. It opened! Yes, so it would seem. Seven clearly hadn't thought their experimentation would produce anything useful and looked rather confused. Snake was, as usual, calm and smug. The door slid closed. Junpei's forehead furrowed as he thought. That means the bracelet is actually 6. 5 plus 7 plus 6 is 18, plus 1 plus 8 is 9. But how is that possible? The display on the bracelet clearly shows a 0. Suddenly, from somewhere far beneath them, they heard the creak and groan of tearing metal. With it came the sound of water pouring into parts of the ship that had, until recently, been dry. Oh man, that's not good. I guess our time's just about up, huh? At any rate, we know now that the door can be opened. Let's go. But, Snake, are you sure? Yeah, you know that only Junpei and I can go through this way. You needn't worry. I have a solution to this problem. My last resort. But if now is not the time for last resorts, then when? Last resort? Junpei, Seven, and Snake ran full tilt down a long, straight hallway. They were headed for the stern of the ship and had no time for distractions. As they ran, Seven spoke. Gotta admit, you really surprised me there, kid. I couldn't figure out how the hell you were gonna get out of that one. How come you didn't do that right off the bat? As I told you, it was the last resort. Had I used it at the beginning of the game, I would have come under a great deal of suspicion. I imagine that would have... most people would have taken it to mean that I was 0. Once they convinced themselves of that, I wasn't optimistic about my chances of making it out of here, alive, let alone unscathed. I felt it best to play my cards close to the chest. That way, if I were in a situation where there was nothing else I could do, I'd have a little trick up my sleeve. I'd just take my bracelet off. Snake's plan had been simple but effective. He'd simply remove the bracelet. How? To Junpei, it looked as though Snake had completely crushed the bone of his hand until they were small enough to fit through the wristband. Of course, that would have been practically impossible, so how had he done it? My brother's left arm is, it's not like normal person's arm. It's fake. It's not a real arm. Snake had slid the bracelet off and tossed it into the coffin. I know this is kind of a weird thing to say, but I'm glad that's a fake arm. Don't have to be afraid of the door if you don't got a bracelet. You are correct. He walked through the door easily without authenticating. He stepped on the other side unscathed and began running down the hall alongside Seven and Junpei. They kept running for a while longer and eventually came upon a set of stairs leading downward on the right side of the hallway. They stopped and peered down the staircase. I think the stairs connect to the Bolton deck. Doesn't look like it's underwater. They nodded quickly to one another and jogged down the stairs. It only took a few minutes to make their way to the bottom deck. There was a single hallway in front of them. At the end of the door was a single door. Let's go through it and check that door. Junpei threw it open. Inside was a massive iron gate. A plate was affixed to the top of it. It's read incinerator. Incinerator? Oh my, that doesn't sound very pleasant. Do you see a lever near that gate, perhaps? Yeah, right over there. How did you know that? Well, I'd be happy to regale you with the story. I imagine it should only take half a day or so. Ah, Junpei grumbled. She gave Snake a dirty look and jogged over to the lever. If you pull it, the door ought to open. Got it. He pulled the lever down. Yo, what up? Bedinsis. I imagine that's how that's pronounced. With the rumble of an ancient motor, the door opened. There was no need to hold back and no time to hesitate. They pushed their way inside. Huh? Standing in front of them were Ace and Lotus. Ace still held the revolver in his head. Call me Bed, I insist. Okay, hi Bed. That is an interesting name. Hello there. And welcome to my crazy bullshit. Ace had still held the revolver in his hand. It was still pressed hard against Lotus's temple. A small dark bruise had begun to form near the tip. Even from several yards away, Junpei could see that Lotus was shaking. She was terrified, but perhaps more interesting was what Junpei saw behind them. 9. Another number 9 door. What? Why? Why is there another one? The door stopped Junpei in his tracks. It simply shouldn't have been there. As his brain finally began to consider why, the whine of the warning klaxon filled the air, drowning out any thought. Warning! Warning! Emergency incineration command has been acknowledged. Automatic incineration will take place in 9 minutes. Please evacuate the incinerator immediately.
Oh my, how exciting. You've run quite a show here, Zero.
A terrifying smile twisted Ace's face.
What's the matter? Too frightened to understand?
The 9 doors were on sale. Zero couldn't resist the offer. Clearly.
Here, let me explain. It's said that the incineration system is about to activate. In 9 minutes, this room will be engulfed in flame. Huh? Who are you?
You don't recognize me. I'm her. It's me, Snake.
Snake? Ah, yes, you are alive.
I'm afraid your bizarre style had me confused.
I'm quite glad to see that you're alive.
Ace's voice didn't change. Snake ground his teeth.
If you don't mind my asking, how did you get here?
Snake, Junpei, 7.
The 3 of you couldn't have opened a door with a 9.
Did you use Clover's bracelet, perhaps?
What?
2 plus 7 plus 2 plus 5 plus 7 plus 4 is 18. 18 equals 9.
Ah. Well, your reaction suggests that you did not.
Hold on. Why did you think we'd have Clover's bracelet? Junpei felt his chest tighten.
Oh, they haven't told you?
Told me what?
Clearly not. Normally I would take some time and enjoy the moment, but I'm afraid my time is at a premium just now. We'll have to make this quick. Clover.
Don't do it, Ace. Keep your goddamn mouth shut.
Clover.
I said stop it. Don't listen to him, Snake. Junpei could feel his voice going hoarse, but Snake didn't listen to him. What happened to Clover? Ace looked at him, the corner of his mouth curled onto the hook of a cruel smile.
Clover died.
The color left Snake's face. He shook his head weakly. No, that's not true. That's impossible. It's a lie. It has to be a lie.
Oh, it's quite true. I can assure you of that. I killed her myself, you see.
What?
I'm sorry. Did I stutter? I killed her.
Snake's face twisted into a mask of rage, mottled red rising to dot his pale skin. His entire body shook. He looked to Junpei disturbingly like a demon.
I know. I would have rather she died with less suffering. A bullet in her brain, perhaps, would have been ideal. Unfortunately, that would have made quite a bit of noise. Circumstances being what they were, I was forced to settle for the knife. The one the 9th man had, you remember? I believe I caught her just below the shoulder blade. I was rather lucky, in fact. My first thrust went right between her ribs. Her flesh was so soft. My knife slid in so easily. There was no resistance. That feeling was, I confess. I feel rather excited. It is a powerful memory. Someday, perhaps, I can feel it again, I hope.
Incineration will begin in 7 minutes.
I'm going to kill you!
Snake's words were a guttural growl, barely audible.
Huh, what was that?
I'll kill you. I'll kill you!
So you're going to kill me? Please do. Come now, I'm waiting.
Don't do it. Don't listen to him, Snake. Stop it, kid. He's screwing with your head. Is there a problem? What are you waiting for, boy? Don't you want me to send you to join your sister? Don't, Snake. Don't do it. But Snake could no longer hear them. Snake could no longer hear anything. Snake moved his like a bolt of lightning. His scream echoed through the incineration chamber full of rage and despair. Snake! Snake! I don't think Snake knew that Ace had a gun. Yeah. What the fuck was that voice? Let's see here. Another scream filled the room. It was Lotus. She ran across the room towards Junpei, her eyes wide with terror. Lotus! Hurry, this way! Snake's ill-fated attack had loosened Ace's grip on her, and she'd made a run for it. She reached Seven and Junpei and ducked behind from them. Incineration will begin in 5 minutes. Give me the woman. He raised the gun. I need her. Without her bracelet. Rather bland portrait for someone with eyes filled with terror. I will be unable to open this door. 1 + 8 + 9 = 18. 1 + 8 = 9. Quickly now! I don't have time for your shenanigans! In the center of the room, Snake's body lay eerily still. He looked like a human larva prone and vulnerable on the floor. I see then. It would seem I have no choice. So inappropriate that it made me laugh. The rest of you must die as well. Fortunately, I have 5 bullets left. 1 for Junpei, another for Lotus, and the last 3 for that lump of idiotic man you call Seven. I will take Lotus's body with me and leave this room. Incineration will begin in 4 minutes. Well, it looks as like our time together has come to an end. I rather enjoyed playing with you. Damn it! Junpei could see Ace's fingers tighten. He could see it begin to squeeze down on the trigger, his body preparing for the catastrophic impact of hot lead against human flesh. Goodbye. Then it happened. Kill you. Snake stood up. What? No, that's impossible. For the first time, Ace's composure broke. With obvious effort, Snake lunged forward, 1 step closer to Ace, then another. He looked for all the world like a zombie. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. His voice was the mournful wailing of the undead. Stay away from me. Get back. It's mine too. I love this track. Stop, if you come any closer. Oh, get away from me. Little by little, Ace was retreating. Snake didn't stop. He continued his stiff, inexorable approach. His eyes, twin pools of pure fury. Listen to me. I said don't come any closer. Shit, you bastard! Ace's revolver leapt 5 times. The air in the incinerator was split by the crack of a bullet. Snake's body twitched as 5 clouds of blood and torn flesh leapt into the air across his body. A fine pink mist drifted from his body and disappeared. Junpei didn't have time to ponder what that meant before. Oh! And then his strength was gone. His legs crumpled. His broken and battered body slid into the floor. Incineration will begin in 3 minutes. Finally, you're... But Snake wasn't done. I'll kill you! Even as the pool of blood from beneath him grew, he began to move. He half crawled, half slid towards Ace. 1 bloody arm wrapped itself around Ace's leg. He won't get away. The other gripped his thigh with the strength that should have been long gone. You son of a bitch! You're a monster!
Get off of me! Let me go, damn you!
He kicked at Snake with his free leg, driving his foot into Snake's face, his arm, his shoulder. It made no difference. Snake refused to release him. Once a snake had ensnared its prey, rarely does it release it. This is it, Ace. We're going to burn to death together.
What?
Incineration will begin in 2 minutes.
Damn it! Damn you! Get off! Let me go, you monster! Okay, look. Think about it this way. My company owns a wonderful hospital. It has excellent doctors. You're not wounded too seriously. I'm sure they can fix you up easily. You don't have to die. You can be saved. Just let me go!
Pathetic! Begging for your life! And Seven and Lotus began to speak. Junpei could hear tears in their voices and their wounds were strained.
Snake, that's enough. You can stop now.
Yes, he's right, Snake. You've done enough.
Come on, Snake. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
You have to come with us. We have to leave together. Snake turned towards them. He coughed and blood spattered across the floor. Then he smiled a sad sort of smile.
I apologize, but I'm afraid I can't do that. You're best. Forget about me. You need to leave soon. I'm going to take him with me. Shut up! Be quiet! I couldn't save Clover. My sister died because of me. Perhaps this will begin to atone for that. Perhaps in the afterlife she can forgive me. Now go! Go now! You have to go.
Incineration will begin in 1 minute.
God damn it, shit, we're out of time! We gotta go!
Seven ran towards the exit. Lotus followed him. But Junpei couldn't move. There were white lines down Snake's cheeks where his tears had washed the blood away. He was broken, body and soul, and Junpei felt as though half of his heart had been torn out. His eyes stung, and he tried desperately to swallow to clear the lump in his throat.
Junpei, what are you doing? You have to go. Get out of here, now!
Junpei's chest tightened, pulled taut by anger, misery, and a cold feeling of emptiness. Pure emotion surged through his heart alongside the torrent of blood. He could feel it building, a tremendous wave growing, taller and taller and taller. And then it broke, crashing down with those thunderous force onto his shaken, unprepared mind.
Snake! Snake!
Junpei's rational mind was gone. He was driven by instinct now, and he launched himself across the floor at Snake and Ace. Or he tried to.
Wait, don't be an idiot, Junpei!
He felt a hand grab him from behind. It was Seven. Before he had time to react, the larger man had pinned Junpei's arms into his sides. It was hauling him bodily back towards the door.
No! No, I have to help Snake! 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 Get off of me! Let me go!
Incineration will begin in 10 seconds. 7, 6.
Damn it, I don't got a choice, kid. Don't blame me for this, alright?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Gates 2 and 3 are locked down, beginning incineration. Junpei felt Seven's fist bury itself deep in his stomach, and then his legs turned to mush. Seven scooped him up in the same motion and leapt through the door. It slammed shut behind them. Junpei struggled to shaky feet. He glanced over to see Lotus, only a short distance away. Junpei ran to the door. Peace. There was a small window. Cut into it. Inside, he could see Ace and Snake.
Shit! Damn you all! Why? Why? Why me? I don't deserve this! Answer me! Answer me, Zero! Why? Why? Zero! Zero! Zero!
He didn't know how much time had passed. He didn't know how long he stood there in front of the incinerator. He looked to the side. Lotus's face was ashen, and if not for the hand she'd put against the wall, Junpei didn't think she could have stood. Seven looked old and tired and used. His eyes stared at the floor, seeing nothing. Hi, Junpei! Junpei, where are you going? He blinked when their voices broke the silence. Stopped. You stay here. I'll go get Santa and June. You gonna bring them here? How? Don't worry about that. Just stay and wait. Alright? He began to walk again. He looked over his shoulder and watched Seven and Lotus grow smaller and smaller. They stared back, not moving. He wasn't sure if they could. He turned around again. He knew where he was going. I saw an elevator on the way here. If I can get it to work, then maybe. Before long, Junpei found himself in front of the elevator. Next to the door was a button with a triangle on it. Please work. He pushed it and the door opened. Yes! Junpei was in a large hospital. June! Santa! He kept calling and walked to the center of the room. But try as he might, he couldn't find them. Damn it! Where did they go? Increasingly frustrated and increasingly worried, Junpei left the large hospital room. He had no choice. We'd have to look for them. Junpei's heart was heavy. He couldn't shake the feeling there was a part of him that felt it would be wrong to, even if he could. With every step he took, his legs felt more and more like lead. Sometime later, Junpei found himself at the chapel. He stepped inside expecting to find nothing. But there on the red carpet in the front center of the room, June. No codenames didn't matter any longer. She was Connie. Connie! Junpei cried her name and ran. Like lightning, he ran across the room towards her. Connie! He stumbled to a stop. As he looked down at her body lying so still on the floor, he felt the icy grip of fear upon his heart. She was still so very still. No, it can't be. It's impossible. Slowly, Junpei bent down towards her. His hand shook, and he felt very cold and very hot at the same time. He forced himself to look. Her back was moving slowly. It rose and fell. Relief washed over him. Connie. He reached down and gently, very gently lifted her up. Connie! Connie, are you alright? Jumpy. Her face was pale and her lips were dry and cracked. Her eyes were blank and cloudy. They stared straight at Junpei but saw nothing. Trembling, Junpei wrapped his arm around her back. She was cold. Very cold. Junpei tried to convince himself that it was only his imagination, but it felt as though she was fading away. He could feel his heart pounding frantically in his chest. Oh man, Connie. The hell happened to you? You feel... Jumpy, I'm sorry. Her voice was very faint. I might not make it. No way. No way. No way am I gonna let you die. I'm gonna save you, I promise. Thank you, Jumpy. Thank you so much for everything. I was really happy to see you again, Jumpy. Really happy. Don't give me that I was crap. You're gonna see me again lots more times. You've just gotta hang in. Alright, Connie? Jumpy, did you know you meant a lot to me when we were kids? I have liked you for a long time, Junpei. A really long time. Junpei's vision had gone blurry. It took a moment to realize his eyes were filled with tears. He could feel a piercing point of heat deep in his heart, like a white-hot flame. He looked down at Akane. Game over. There was a crack of static above his head, and his voice spoke. Zero! You son of a bitch, where are you hiding? Junpei frantically scanned the ceiling for source of the voice. I am right here. I have always been close to you. The hell are you talking about? No matter what I tell you again. Game over. The game has ended. No, it hasn't. I'm not gonna let it end like that. I'm gonna get out of here with Connie. You can't. That's impossible. Why? Because you chose the wrong path. The wrong path? That's correct. Your path was inevitable, however. Admit defeat. Where there is shadow, there is light. Where there is absence of light, there is no shadow. So it goes. What are you talking about? It matters not. The loser had been decided. I told you I'm not gonna lose. No, you misunderstand. You haven't lost. I have lost. What? Junpei didn't have time to ponder what that meant before. He heard the door slam shut behind him. He spun around. There was no one there. Was it Zero? Connie, wait here. I'll be right back, I promise. She managed a single nod. Junpei laid her back down gently and leapt for the door. He yanked it open and shot outside. No one. The hall was empty. There was nothing moving anywhere. Damn it, where are you? Doesn't matter, I need to get Connie out first. He didn't want to leave Connie alone any longer than he had to, so he jumped around and headed back to the chapel. Connie? She wasn't there. She wasn't anywhere. She'd been lying there on the floor just moments before, and now she was gone. Oh God! No, where is she? Connie? 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 Connie! His cry split the heavens themselves. He screamed until his voice gave out. And then he screamed some more. But there was nothing. No answer. His voice faded away, and all that remained was cold, unfeeling silence. That was when he noticed it. A strange smell once he'd smelled before. Wait, this is... white smoke. 9 seconds later, Junpei's mind winked out. Our next ending. The end. Or is it? Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries an eye. I don't want to watch this. Alright, would you like to save the info you obtained during this playthrough? This is not my first playthrough. This is my second playthrough. I have not played this game in like 2-3 years. I just hadn't gotten the axe ending yet. And I wanted to go ahead and do a fun little stream where I voice acted everybody. So I did that. God, oh Lord, I am exhausted after 2.5 hours today. Fuck. I have to go to work next. So for now, I will go ahead and, okay, I will go ahead and save this. Because, well, I have to go to work today, so I do not have time to do the true ending. Fuck, I just dropped my controller like a dumbass. However, today my work closes early. So I will be home a bit sooner than I normally would be. So, what I'm saying is I will probably be back later tonight to go ahead and finish the game. No promises though. I might change my mind. God damn. Whew, you wouldn't think that reading intensely for 2.5 hours, because I didn't do any escape rooms this time. I didn't solve any puzzles. This stream was purely a reading experience. Collecting endings. I was straight reading for 2.5 hours. You wouldn't think it'd be as exhausting as it was. But putting as much effort into like trying to like hit the emotional beats and like desperateness of some of these characters, it's a lot. It's a lot. Anyways, I will most likely be back later. I have to probably throw something in my body and drink some water and relax a little before I have to call an Uber to work. I will catch everybody later. Thanks everybody who stopped by. Another wonderful like executed that brain. Okay. Yeah, everybody have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by, Bed. Again, this isn't the first playthrough. This is just a replaythrough after like 2 or 3 years. This is my first playthrough on stream though. But yeah. Thanks for stopping by. And the rest of my stuff is on. The rest of the playthrough so far is on YouTube so far. So yeah, I look forward to that. And this stream will end up on YouTube as well. So everybody have a wonderful day, and I will catch you all later. Bye.